Hello, 2nd grade. Mr. McDonald here for day 3 of subtracting within 1000. Since we spent 2 days on subtracting within 1000, I'm going to go a little bit quicker today. And if you need to pause the video, please do so and then unpause it when you're caught up. I do want you to try to do these in your journal, a scratch sheet of paper, or a whiteboard. So what I'm trying to say is make sure you're following along at home. And again, if I'm going too fast for you, please just pause the video until you're caught up, and then you can continue on. We're going to do 3 examples today, and none of these have regrouping. These are all no regrouping problems, so they should be a little bit easier than some of the other problems we've done in the past. Let's look at our first example. In this example, we have the number 482 and 271. And I'm thinking, am I going to draw the first number or the second number? If you thought to yourself, draw the first number only, great job. For subtraction, we only draw the first number. So I would go ahead and draw 4 squares for the hundreds, 8 tens. I almost went too fast myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tens. Because that 8 is in the tens place and 2 ones. Now I want you to take a look here at my work and your work and make sure that you have enough room that when you cross out your work, that it won't be so crowded that you accidentally cross out too many. And I also want to make sure that your work is nice and neat so that it's easy for you to figure out what are your hundreds, what are your tens, and what are your ones. If you need to pause the video right now, go ahead. But this is what 482 should look like. Alright, so now that we've drawn 482, we're going to do our subtraction. I'm going to write the letters above the numbers, just a little trick to help you know what you're going to cross out. The H and the H match, so I see the H here, and I see the H here, and I see the number 2 here, so that tells me I'm crossing out 2 underneath the H. The same thing for the T and the T. There's a T here for tens, and this T right here also means tens. And what number do we see underneath the tens? That's right, 7. So I'm going to cross out 7. You might be doing X's or slashes. That's fine as long as you cross out the correct amount and as long as you don't cross out too many of them. If you did it correctly, you should have 2 left over. We'll give you a second to get caught up. And we're ready for our final one. Underneath the O, there is a 1. And we remember from our previous work that O stands for ones. I would just simply cross out 1, 1. A couple different ways you could count to find your answer. You could say 100, 200, 210, 220, 221. That would definitely get you the right answer. You could also write some numbers to yourself. Oh look, 200, so the 2 would go underneath the H. Then we have 2 tens, and we keep it all in the same place value, so the number 2 could go down there, and then 1, 1. And you see here that number is 221. Either way you count will get you the correct answer. Let's take a look at answer number 2. If you need to pause the video before we go on, pause it, and when you're ready for example number 2, unpause the video. Example 2 has another problem with no regrouping. We have the number 897 and we have the number 675. 875 is how many we have, and it means that's how many we're going to draw. And the number 675 is the number we will cross out. So 675 means the number that we will cross out. Those are squiggle marks, X's, whatever it is that you do to cross them out. So I'm going to draw 800 first. And you should be drawing 800 on yours as well. Then we've got 9 tens. I took up the whole space, and that's fine if you need to do the same. And 7 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Double check that your work shows 897, and then we're ready to move on to 675. So we're going to start with our number 6. 6 is the H, and all we have to do is match the H to the H. Cross out 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you did it correctly, you will have 2 left over, 2 hundreds left over. Then we go to our middle place. Oh look, it matches up perfectly, the T to the T. So I'm going to go over to my tens place, and I'm just going to cross out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. If you did that correctly, you'll have 2 again. Give it about 10-15 seconds to get caught up. Pause the video if you need to take longer. And our last number is in the ones place, just like here. Hundreds, tens, then ones comes last. And we see the number 5 in our ones. So we go over to our ones place and cross out 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can count it like I did before. I could say 100, 200, 210, 220, 221, 222. Or I could write numbers to myself. And look, it matches. 1, 2, 2. 1, 2. 2 is down here, not 12. That's 1, 2. And same thing over here. 1, 2. 2 ones. So our answer is 222, no matter which way you count. When you're ready, let's go ahead and go on to this third example. Alright, so this is our final example here. The first number is pretty easy, 564, but then Mr. McDonald got a little tricky here. I decided to put a 0 in the tens place for the second number. So, I want you to think about what that number 0 means. In our previous video, we talked about what 0 means. 0 has a meaning. If you haven't figured it out, 0 means nothing. So when it comes time to cross out, we're actually going to skip our tens place and do nothing in our tens place. The 6 that we draw at first is going to stay the same because we won't have to do anything. So we will actually only be crossing out the hundreds and the ones place. The zeros place, all we'll have to do is draw. It'll make a little bit more sense once we go ahead and get started. I'm going to draw 564. Subtraction, we only have one number that we draw. And remember, the 0 comes for subtraction, not the first part, so I do need to draw those 6 tens. And 1, 2, 3, 4. I drew 564. We'll give you a second or two to get caught up. Five more seconds, and if you need more time, pause the video. So, we see the number 302, and we know that 3 is our hundreds. We know that even though that number 0 is there, it's still our tens place. The O is our ones. So, I will cross out 3 hundreds. I will cross out 2 ones. But I'm just going to skip over our tens place. The 0 tells me I don't have to do anything. And it's actually kind of nice. It makes my life easier. So I cross out 100, 200, 300. Skip over the tens place since that number 0 is there. And I go to my ones. How many ones do we have that need to be crossed out? If you said or thought 2, great job. So one more time before we count. I crossed out 1, 2, 3 hundreds, skipped over the 0 because 0 means I don't have to do anything. And then I do have to cross out 2 ones. Final step, count either by going 100, 200, 210, 220, 230, 240, 250. 250, 260, 261, 262. We can count it as 262. Or we could go 1, 200, and write that underneath the H spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that would go underneath the tens place, right here at the bottom. And then 1, 2. You see here that we still have the same number, 262. Alright, second grade, keep up the good work. Next week, be prepared. We will go ahead and move on to regrouping, which is a little bit tougher. Most of the steps are the same, so I know you can get it. I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a good day.